We have 3 clips from this because we have the event. It happens a little bit. Vince explaining something. It certainly wasn't the topic of the day from what I'm hearing. It's almost like Vince tried to turn the tables on the news in front of a bunch of reporters who really didn't know what the news was in the first place. It's as if he handpicked his audience and tried to, I don't know what the word is, but maybe charm? I don't want to say mislead.
Well, charm in a way, and he was very authoritarian and matter of fact-ish, and this is my company, and I don't want to see anything wrong with it, and I use steroids too, and only for a few times, whatever it was, and I didn't like them, and I mean, so it was all kind of this surreal messaging that was coming out of the guy that ran the WWF.
It was an alternate reality of a press conference, and there's never been anything quite like it. I say we go to it. Let's let the fans decide what they think of these comments. How about that?
I agree. Let's do it.
So here now, from last Tuesday, July 16th, the press conference held at the Plaza Hotel in the Terrace Room with the Chief Executive Officer and President of Titan Sports, Vince McMahon.
Okay, we're going to get started now, please. I'd like to welcome you all for coming today. Thank you for coming today. It's a very important press conference to the WWF, and I'm sure to a lot of you. I'm Steve Planamento, the media director for the WWF. There's been a lot written and a lot said about the WWF in recent weeks, and today we hope to clear up some of the misconceptions and get to the heart of some of the issues. There are a lot of you here today, and we want to accommodate your questions, so we'll try and proceed in an orderly fashion. If you have a question, please raise your hand, and then when I call on you, state your name and which organization you represent. And with that said, it's my pleasure to introduce to you the President, Chief Executive Officer of Titan Sports, Inc., Mr. Vincent K. McMahon.
Thank you very much for coming here today. This is a very important day for me, a very important day for my family, and a very important day for the World Wrestling Federation. Important because it affords us the opportunity to address some of the issues that have been raised as of late, notwithstanding the fact that I believe some of those issues have been a bit outlandish. Nonetheless, more importantly, it's an opportunity today to make a promise and to be held accountable to that promise. A promise that the World Wrestling Federation will be the standard bearer for drug-free sports and entertainment. Approximately 3.5, maybe 4 years ago, I personally experimented with decadurabolin for a very short period of time. Decadurabolin is an anabolic steroid. It was applied to me by Dr. Zahorian. Many of you are familiar with Dr. Zahorian and familiar with his recent trial. As a result of the trial and subsequent publicity, I can categorically state that I believe that's probably one of the best things to ever happen to the World Wrestling Federation. Because, again, it gives us an opportunity to be held accountable, as we should be. An opportunity to bring in experts, notwithstanding our very substantive drug program that already exists. An opportunity to bring in further experts that are independent, that will set up a program that will be the standard bearer for programs for all the professional sports. With that in mind, I'd like to open it up to questions. Questions, guys, come on.
Yes, sir.
Chris from WBAB out on Long Island. Recent remarks from Lyle Alzado saying that the human growth hormone drug is undetectable in testing. The wrestlers still will be getting away pretty much with using them because they're undetectable. My question is, will the WWF continue to push your performers based on their size and muscularity rather than wrestling ability?
Well, I think you have a couple of questions there. Firstly, you're assuming that the wrong thing as far as I'm concerned. You're assuming that we have been what you just stated. The WWF does not push wrestlers in terms of size. The WWF pushes wrestlers, and we don't push wrestlers. The public decides whom they like, whom they're going to support. And largely, more than anything else, it's based on personality and charisma, not on size and certainly not on muscularity. And if you would look at the roster of talent in the WWF, I think you'd see a wide, varied array of different body sizes and types.
Yes, sir.
Bob Ritzman, New York Daily News. How much of you coming out now has to do with the trial? Or were you planning to do something before?
We were planning to do something before, just as in 1987 we instituted a drug policy with no outside pressure, so to speak. Nonetheless, I believe that this trial and the subsequent publicity pushed us a little faster than we normally would have been pushed.
Yes, sir.
How serious is the steroid problem among WBAB wrestlers in your opinion?
In my opinion, it's not anywhere near as serious as it has been stated, but nonetheless, whether it's my opinion or someone else's opinion, the point is we're going to find out very, very soon.
Say what percentage or how many wrestlers you think are taking steroids?
No, I wouldn't want to guess as far as that's concerned, but I would state unquestionably that some of the projections from other former wrestlers who have not been in a dressing room in the WWF in over 3 years are just outlandish, outrageous.
Yes, sir.
Yes, my name is Pete Kutros. I'm with the New York Post.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to ask you, how long ago was it that you used the anabolic steroid? For how long did you use it, and for what purpose?
Okay. I just stated approximately 3.5 to 4 years ago for a very short period of time, and that's all I'm going to say about that subject. Yes, sir.
Mr.
Cliff Gale from Shampoo Sports. Will you ever release names of those wrestlers who have been found to be steroid abusers, number one? And number two, as the controversy has been swirling the past few weeks, there's a lot of Hulk Hogan has been in the eye of the storm. He's been very absent from everything. Why is that?
Hulk Hogan is going to make a statement. I would suggest he's probably going to do it tonight on the Arsenio Hall show. But to answer your first question, there's unquestionably a degree of confidentiality as there is in all of drug testing, but nonetheless, when someone is suspended, I would suggest that after conversing with our experts, we're going to determine whether or not and when that should be a public knowledge.
Bob?
Yeah, you have had a testing program for other drugs. Have any wrestlers tested positive for anything, and were they suspended? And two, how is this program for steroids going to be implemented as far as periods that people will be checked out over, every month, every week, that kind of thing?
We have had, on occasion, a substance abuse situation with wrestlers, and it has been dealt with suspension, has been dealt with rehabilitation. As far as your second part of your question was
the system for checking out for steroids. What will be the time intervals you'll check? Will it be weekly, monthly? What kind of?
Currently, we test weekly for substance abuses now. Whether or not that is practical for steroids, I don't know. I'm going to confer with the experts. We have one arriving on the scene in our offices, Dr. David Lee Black, tomorrow. We're going to confer as well with all of the drug experts that work with the NFL, that work with all of the major leagues.
Yes, sir.
Michael Ziegler with ESPN. Would you consider joining forces with the New York State Athletic Commission, which also tests such steroids, and then therefore make your test even a little more credible?
Our test will unquestionably, because you're going to look over our shoulder, our tests are going to be the most credible of any test anywhere. We have nothing to hide. We have nothing to lose by being tested for steroids. And by the way, the State Athletic Commission does not test for steroids for boxers or for whomever it is they look over and never have.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of crazy, wasn't it, Bob?
It gets worse. It gets worse.